All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome finally to our inaugural episode of the Sparkplug podcast. Glad to have all of you here. Finally grateful to get this off the ground and to be here. Wherever you may be joining us from, really appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in to us. So let me get on with the introductions. So to my left, we have Justin. My name is Osei. We have Will over here. And then Kadeen, also known as KD, to my further right. All right, so fellas, before we even, get into any nitty-gritties or anything else, right now, by the time we're recording this, we're end of December, about to enter 2023. You know what I'm saying? So sure. We're about to go into a new year. So I would like to hear your thoughts, What were some things, like some highs, some highlights, some lows that went on, this year, things you learned, big things and things that you may want to change for next year or improve on next year?
That's a good question, man. I actually been off of work long awaited. I've definitely been working OD, right? So I've been off of work for the past 2 weeks, and it really had me reflecting a lot just about how 22 has gone and some of the goals that I had set forth for myself and some of the things that I wanted to accomplish. And quite frankly, I didn't really accomplish all the things that I set out to do, right? And you probably thinking dang, that's probably just a bad year, or it's and I've learned what 2022 has taught me the most really is that though I may have not reached some of the goals that I've, set forth for myself, very lofty goals as well, I might add, it's still a great year. I'm still in a grateful position, right? I'm still very much blessed. So, the position I am in life, a lot of people would love to be in this position. So I think ultimately it's, kind of just taught me that, yeah, not everything go as planned, but doesn't mean that it can't still be a good year. You still can't have a good experience. There's still not a lot that you could take out of, the year. You know what I'm saying? So that's really it for me when I think about 2022 for real.
Nah, bro. I seen something on social media that was yo, have y'all lived two different lives between January and June and then July to December? Because looking back at it, I really do feel like that. Of course, early January, February, March, that was the second semester of my graduate studies. So at that point, you feel me, I'm getting a little bit more of my footing, just understanding what grad school is and all of that. And then by the time, summer comes around, you're living life a little bit more now because it's I actually have some more free time now because when you're in grad school, you ain't got that much time. Let me tell you. Osei, I know you can preach on that too. You don't have that much time, but, the summer was a time where I could really just kind of explore myself and really just kind of figure out what I want to do and who I want to be as a person. And I kind of took that into the second half of the year where, sports social media content creation was what I wanted to do. And I started doing that for a high school team. And then started to take on a little bit more and started doing, other events and stuff like that.
Willie Will was loaded up in 2022,
he was working.
Yo, Will, when you free to hang out, when you free to do this? My whole week is booked. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm booked till next 2 weeks.
You be nah. These next 2 weeks, something serious.
I ain't gonna lie, cause you might have to come back to me the next 3 weeks.
We're trying to get together. To be real with y'all, man. I don't know if I can meet up.
Listen, I told you when you have grad school, that in and of itself is already a lot of time allotted. And then at the point, I had 2 jobs to the point where I had to leave one just because one, it didn't really fit where I wanted to be at. Personally, 2, it didn't really help me as I wanted personally. I felt like it was hurting more than it really helped me. So, it allowed me to kind of figure out myself a little bit more. And now, with winter break, with us being in winter break right now for school, I'm starting to really figure out, okay, I'm about to graduate with my master's in 5-6 months, hopefully.
Amen.
Where do I want to go after that? And I'm really trying to take the time to figure that out. So there was a lot of lessons that I've learned in 2022 about, just myself, about what I want to do career wise, what I want to be personally, and just who I think I am as a person. And I'm excited, to be honest, to really try to take that into 2023 now.
That's what's up.
That's really dope. And a little bit similar to you mentioned before, I'm also in grad school.
It's a lot, man.
When you mentioned you're a completely different person from January to June, then July to December, you're complete, bro. I used to work as a scribe, so from January of this year to June, I was working. My last day was June 29th or June 30th. And then after that, I was like, oh, I'm free now. I can do whatever the heck I
he
want.
was outside.
I was outside.
I was outside.
I think they bought the shorts and everything.
The boys got
Gucci
Daddy shorts.
If
I was
y'all,
like,
if y'all
alright.
saw that video we posted on IG, I was like, shorts
Yeah,
going
the
up to
shorts
like
all the way
my
up
head.
here.
I was like, yo, what do you
I
think
walked
these
in.
shorts
Justin
from,
was
bro?
like, I was like, them shorts are a little too short. I'm like,
Like,
what
where
you
the rest
mean?
of them? Where the
Pull
rest
up
of
in my
your
house in them
shorts at?
drawers.
I'm like, they look nice. They look nice. What you mean?
Like,
Nah, I ain't gonna
Kadeem got
lie.
his family here, bro.
Yo,
It's a family home.
Listen,
It's a
I ain't
family
gonna hold though. I got nothing against the hoochie daddy because I do
Yeah,
got
man.
couple pairs
I'm about
myself.
to
You know what I'm
say,
saying?
I
I
do
gotta
understand, you
cover
know.
myself, too.
That's why I got that inspiration.
Oh, you got this one from me?
Yeah.
I'm not a bad.
Nah. This man just got a crazy story of him in the hospital. The ladies over here looking at his shorts. I'm like, hold on now,
Excuse
just.
me?
Excuse me, it's correct.
Listen.
Tell the story. Before I proceed with tell the story,
First
please.
of all, it was the family practice. Saying get it right. Second of all, I don't know. I guess not a lot of young men come into there. I don't know what it is. I think it's mostly a woman thing, and maybe some older dudes that be having problems and stuff like that. So I came in there during the summertime. It's hot day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to
Tell him the
cover
fit.
up.
Tell him the fit.
Hoochie daddy up.
Word up! No, I had a t-shirt. I had a little
Hoochie
black
shirt.
jacket. You feel me? Not. It was a short sleeve jacket though. You know what I'm saying? And then
Arms
some
cut out so you can
shorts.
see the muscles.
And then some shorts. They was, I mean, when I sat down, when I stood up, they probably came to like the top of my neck. When
you sat down,
though,
Gucci
that
level.
was the thing, right?
Yo, you
So I'm getting my blood drawn, and I'm like, I got to work on this as well because I be sitting like I be chilling like y'all know me, right? This is usually me, like just posted, just chilling, right? So even like while we doing this episode, I gotta tell myself to sit up, right? So I'm sitting there, she drawn my blood, and then the woman in the back, not the woman who was here, but the woman in the back, is another little station where they drawing blood too. So there's an older woman that stands up and is talking to the woman that was drawing her blood, but she's like right in front of me the whole time, and they were just talking. I wasn't paying much attention to it. They talking about chicken or something like that. What store they went to get these deals? But then the woman that was drawing her blood, when she leaves, comes up to me and she was like, "I'm gonna help you out, man." Close the show. She was like, it was the reason why she was sitting there talking. She didn't want to talk about no chicken. She was talking about you. Trying to get her a little peek or something. I'm gonna just. Now you good. I was like, I appreciate that. I appreciate you, dude.
So I guess we learned what Justin got in 2022. Close your legs.
Word.
Can't go the hoochie uniform,
Word.
bro. But nah. So
how's
again,
med school? How's
med school? Yeah.
2022.
So, my bad. 1 second, real quick. So, at the end of June, I finished work. Me and Just went to Atlanta in July. It seems so long ago now, but went to ATL in July, which was amazing. And then from then, I actually got accepted to grad school, med school in Grenada. So I started that in August. So it's just been like work, stop in June, and then July, the whole month I had off, just doing whatever the heck I wanted for a while. And then starting med school after that, and it was just a drastic shift from, yay, fun time, and then you gotta lock in and click back in for work. Like I was 1 year out of college. I took a year off, some time in between. It was okay. Like the first couple of weeks was okay, and I was like, cause it was a bunch of review and stuff like that, which I'm glad for, very happy for. But it was a huge transition from there, where it was like, okay, now you actually have to get back into learning mode, studying mode, every day. Whatever time you have, free time, dinner, gym, everything else is studying. So getting into that routine, whatever it may have been, was like something that at first I struggled with a little bit, but like I felt like closer to the end of semester, like a couple of weeks ago before our last exam, I got a much better handle of it. Like we had like 3 exams within 4 days, 3 different type of exams. And I was just like, I'm cooling. I'll be okay. I'm like, I wasn't panicking. I was like, I'm gonna be fine, and I did well on them, so I'm happy by God's grace, and I ended well with a good grade for that. So it's just like, for me, one of the biggest things that I think I'll take out of 2022 would be, while I was there, even the days that was like tough, difficult, I was like, bro, what the heck? It's so much work. I asked myself, and I thought to myself, I was like, despite the craziness, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. And that was school, or being in med school and pursuing my dream to become a doctor. So that's one of the biggest things I took out of 2022.
Future Doc right here,
Talk
man.
to him.
By the grace
You know
of
what
God,
I'm
by the
saying?
grace of God,
Talk
by the
to
grace of God.
You know what I'm saying?
Aye.
Word. Yeah, it's funny, Osei, because we be talking about some of your choices in life, you know, when it comes to the health. But yeah, that is the future doc right there. So
Hey.
maybe in some due time, y'all could go to Osei for y'all health related needs, because I don't know if he'd be the best person to tell you about. Oh wow, dietary.
Reading from my diet. Here's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Let me tell you what you should do.
Oh wow.
Nah, I would. Oh,
He said, "Oh wow."
yeah, it might be a little surprising. Let me not put you too much on blast. Now I would say for me, I guess we just doing like the biggest thing that we gleaned from this year.
Things,
Yeah.
What you been up to?
Stuff.
Where I would say the biggest thing for me is, y'all see I got my son's hoodie on, you know what I'm saying? They not doing too well right
What's
now.
the point of mentioning that?
The point of mentioning that is the Suns are part of the National Basketball Association, which I work for now.
Hey.
So,
You could have said that without mentioning the Suns.
I mean,
Wait, let's just pause on some positivity.
I could have said you got your LA Bron little hoodie on too now, right?
I mean, you could have, but they ain't doing too good neither. I would have
They
just
not
left that
doing
out.
too good. I'm
See,
just-
if they were doing good, that would probably been a nice little cue. But it's like they ain't not even playing well. Just say you work for the NBA.
Man, all of our
Word.
team. Wait. Osei, what fan are you in basketball?
I'm a Giannis fan,
Some
and as such,
aside.
I'm currently a Bucks fan. That is my explanation that I give.
So he don't count for this conversation, but dang, all three of our teams are trash right now.
Whoa, two. Whoa. we third in the West right now. Y'all two.
I mean, y'all trending down.
Wait, what's your team?
Like,
The
Bulls.
Bull. The Bull.
D Book hurt, and what's his name? What Chris Paul? That's my guy, favorite point guard. Literally my favorite point guard, but you know he lost a few steps. But hey, that conversation isn't about that,
Yeah, I'm about
right?
to say, that's
You
something
working
else.
for the NBA,
Yes, sir.
right? So how's that for you, bro?
Just his face. He said,
I appreciate y'all
Why you
letting me
ain't
talk
come?
about my new job. You know what I'm saying? Because you see how they started talking trash, talking about team. You feel me?
We ain't
My
saying
point
no
in
I wasn't
bringing
saying
it
your
up-
team. I was talking about mine, man.
You're saying in
Right.
general.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
Your team is.
Yeah, that's another day. That's another day.
Wait. Nah, no doubt. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. That little video. There was a video on social media the other day. They was playing the Knicks. They showed it like 6 times on Sports Center. Where
Listen.
I work for the league now. The reason why I brought up the Suns was because I'm naturally wearing this. I actually got it as a gift from my homegirl Dana. Shout out to you, because you've taken, I guess, a knowledge to my favorite teams already. So I appreciate that. Secret friend, Frosty is what we call it, not Santa. But I mentioned what you had on as well, because it's kind of a natural thing for all of us. I feel like what we talk about all the time is basketball and the NBA, and it's just natural. Like, you know, even before this, we talking about this and that and the third, right? So, for me to be able to work in that, you know, in that league, I feel like I was telling my mom this earlier. It's a dream come true that I didn't even know was a dream, because
Amen.
I never set a goal for myself to work in the league. Like, I was always, you know me, I was a journalist. I was trying to work for, you know, the big, maybe ESPN, or maybe, you know, I did work for Fox, obviously. But I always wanted to cover the league. Like, I always wanted to be the one, you know, this Justin Morris, I'm here on the sideline, you know, Chris Haynes type of vibe, or Malika Andrews, maybe, you know what I'm saying?
On the court.
So, yeah, exactly. Like, it was good. Giannis type vibe. You know what I mean? You know, I had to-
Big old hands.
Giannis, but still, like, I wanted to be right there next to him.
Yeah.
And I'll still get the opportunity to do that. It's just in a much different capacity than I thought it was going to originally be, because I'm actually, like, behind the scenes of the league. You know, it's crazy. I used to get up in the morning, and the first thing I would do was watch ESPN Classic. For some reason, they clipped that channel off the networks. I don't know what happened to it. It just be static now, but I would watch, like,
Maybe it's
full-on-
YouTube TV.
Oh, damn. Why you doing the YouTube TV like that?
YouTube TV. be having its
No,
problems. You know that.
YouTube TV
You
is
feel me?
clutch, but it be finicky. It'll be finicky. It be clutch for the culture, but it'll be finicky sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
The circle of life in YouTube
circle
TV.
of life.
The circle of death, you mean?
Yeah.
Busting, yeah, basically. You know, the red rings and that's on
Now we gonna post it on YouTube. They gonna give us the boot just for me saying that.
Demonetized. Demonetized.
Be like, this video has been disabled. But nah, like, this is like way before YouTube. I was like 7, 8 years old, and I would get up in the morning and turn on ESPN Classic and watch full on games of like Jordan and Gary Payton and, you know, all these different people. So that, to me, I've always loved basketball. It's always been my favorite sport. I've always, you know, just taken a liking to the game itself. It was just so aesthetically pleasing. So for me to be able to work in the league that I've always loved and always talk about. I feel like it's just so crazy, and I could get into. I'm not gonna get into how it happened, but the way that it happened was even crazier. So, cause I'll keep it a buck. My application list, with that league, is deep. it's like 5 or 6 different jobs that just
multiple times
application reviewed or since 2017. So.
Okay.
That was definitely my big thing. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this as well. I feel like this was the year for me where I really, really just got very close to God. So,
amen.
Nice.
This is not me trying to push God on anybody. It's just me talking about, me personally. But in the beginning of the year, as we well know, we have Black Men of Standard, right? And we all had to take we have a lot of strong love for our fellow Black men. So we lost a brother at the beginning of the year. Jordan, shout out to Jordan. Yeah, very much so. And I feel like, so at his funeral, I remember the person who was giving the eulogy saying, life is not guaranteed. And I think that's something for us to even, take into account now. Like, we're all in our early 20s, but, you never know with this life thing, right? So he was like, if your life were to end today, tomorrow, we young people always plan, and we're going to talk about our plans for next year. Like we got next year, right? But he was like, young people be planning for 30 and 40 and 50 and stuff like that, but you never know when your time is going to come, right? So he was like, if your time is tomorrow, the next day, would you be okay with what your life looks like? And I was sitting there like, no, not even close, right? But I feel like the flip side of that, and why I truly do believe that, everything does happen for a reason, in my opinion, was I really, really made it a point to try to get as close to him as possible, and I really have seen a lot of the results of that. When the Bible study, right? I try to talk to it and be stay in the Word and stuff like that. But even a lot of decisions I've made from a personal perspective, I feel like I have been led by him, where I'm trying to financially give to the church and stuff like that, trying to serve, trying to be as best of a person as I can to the people around me. I feel like that's all because I've tried, and really, that will actually lead once we get into that 2023 conversation. And to my next point about that, it's just I feel like God has really, blessed me a lot. I've gotten closer to Him, and I feel like, back to the NBA, He's the reason why I got that job in the first place, man.
Amen.
So,
that's my 22 for sure.
Some doors close, so other doors can open.
You know what they say, man. God closed the door, He gonna open up that window.
One. Hey, He's opening up that window.
No, that's right. And I think what you can the underlying theme with that one is just as I personally look to 2023, it really just, and I remember we was talking about it, just leading with love, right? It doesn't matter if you can be the most spiritual person or you can be not too much spiritual, but just to just treat people, with love, right? Treat them how you want to be treated. I know it's such an easy thing to say, but to actually live that day in and day out, right? Especially when you probably got some people looking at you or talking to you a certain way, you
square
right?
up,
So
square up.
So that's definitely just understand everybody just. You don't know what people are going through in their lives, right? And I think, you have social media, it probably puts it on this whole image of what you think or perceive to be true about what, say, someone is going through, but you never really know, right?
Right.
And that's why, as I look to 2023, personally, my charge, my actual goals is just to be a more loving person, right? If I feel if I'm more a loving person with this, with the help of God to be that way, right? Then all the other things that I hope to accomplish, whether it's to buy a home, whether it's to get promoted at work, all these other things, I feel like those will come, right? But just to just treat people with just love, with just genuine love. You know what I'm saying? Because the world is so hard, it's so tough already, right? So let's just why not try to feed love into the equation as much as possible, for real.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just something, people don't really try to look at people like people, especially when it comes to celebrities or ball players, stuff like that, they look at them on such a pedestal, but at the end of the day, we're all humans, we're all trying to get one goal or another goal. Who's to say I'm better or worse than another person that's sitting next to me, or another person that's over to the left or right of me and stuff like that. And honestly, that was conversations that I was having with myself over these past couple of days. I'm like, because for me, I've always said this to myself. I'm like, bro, I don't hate anybody. You feel me? Anybody could have bad blood on me, and they could feel some way about me or something like that. But if anybody that I've touched over the past 23 years of my life, had to come back to me and say, I need help with this, or with reason, of course, you know, like something's been going on, like, can you help out? Like, I'm trying to help out one way or another. And like, for me, that's where like my content creation stuff came in. Like, y'all was saying like, oh yeah, you're always busy and stuff like that. But you know, it came to a point where I'm like, all right, I have this service, I have this talent that I know that, you know, people want. Like, Kadeem could attest to that. You know, like he came to me, it was like, yo, like I really need, you know, a photographer and videographer to come out to that event. And you know, I could have, you know, done anything else, but I was like, you know, Kadeem, my dog, like I really want to help him out. Like, let me just go ahead and, you know, what's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of my time where I know that's going to help him out and that's going to make it easier for him. So, you know, when I look to 2023 and when I look at, you know, just the life that I live right now, like everything I'm doing is with a purpose so I could be able to help out other people. And I feel like, especially with content creation and social media and stuff like that, like I feel like using the right ways, it could help people tell their stories and it could help people like understand that human side of it. Because Kadeem had just mentioned like, oh yeah, social media could portray this facade of like, oh, maybe people are doing good, but they're not really doing good. And it's like,
I make you depressed.
And it's like, all right, well, what can I do in terms of content creation? What can I do for social media where, you know, there might be those people that, you know, initially are doing good, but then like they have all the right platforms and they have all the right like spots, and now they can really tell their story of like, okay, like, yeah, you might have seen me do this, that, and the third, but actually this is what I'm really going through and stuff like that. And I feel like, you know, media is that platform, and like podcasts and like videos and stuff like that is really that platform where, you know, you can really tell a story. So, you know, that's kind of where I want to be at right now. And I think that for me, the reason why I was drawn to sports and content creation is because sports, there is no real face to that. Like, it brings people from all types of backgrounds, from all types of income, from everything like that, to be all into this one central thing. And when you have that, then all right, now you could go in and you can help people out because you have that, I guess, that eraser of, you know, what differences do we all have, and now we're all coming together for, you know, like we saw with the World Cup this past fall, like everybody's cars, man, everybody's coming back. So it's like with me, that's why I'm drawn to sports, and that's why I'm drawn to content creation, because sports brings everybody together. Content creation allows people to really, you know, see their story, allow people to tell their story one way or another, especially with the way technology and social media is now. That's really dope. And just to piggyback off a little bit what Kadeem mentioned about like moving into 2023 with a new or renewed attitude concerning love, like the biggest thing for me, I remember these past couple months where it was just like, okay, even when somebody gets you upset, like there's a part about love. Remember in Corinthians where it's like, even when somebody gets you upset, you still have to love them. What is, like, for me, I had to ask myself, what does loving someone even though you're upset at them mean? And that means not showing them attitude because you're upset with them, and just being like, oh, I'm mad at you.
Because low-key, Ose can be passive aggressive sometimes.
Oh no, I'm extremely passive aggressive. You can show attitude. Oh no, when I live with Justin, whenever I'm mad at Just, I know he hates when I slam the pots and pans. Oh my god, I'll be in there, clink, 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 clink. I'm like, he can wake up. I don't care. It is 10 a.m. I'm like, he should be up. The cat's I told you this before. Yeah, I thought I told you this before. The cat's out the bag. Y'all hearing it too first. Good to know. Right here on Spark Plug.
So I gotta lead with love, right? Ose just told me that, and I gotta not get revenge on him for that.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's the thing.
2023.
We do 2020. I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? We working on it. We are working some progress. And that's the thing where it's like, for me, honestly, like, so if your friend gets you upset, or if you're upset with a loved one, it's just like, what does that mean to lead in love? We talk about it all the time, like love your neighbor, love this, but it's like, when you mess up, how would you like to be treated, or how would you like your family or somebody to approach you? And try your best to emulate before you hit back at them. Try your best to emulate. Okay, if I did what they did and I knew I was in the wrong, how would I want somebody to approach me, or be the most effective way to approach somebody, you know, in that situation? And it's hard. It's like we talk about it all the time. One of my favorite things, like Lauryn Hill, one of her songs, Tell Him, where it's like you mentioned too, you have all these things, you're very spiritual, you're very godly, you read your Bible every day, but if you're without love, you're nothing. You're nothing to God. So it's just like trying to find different aspects of love, or different ways I can show love better, and improve in my ability to love my friends, my loved ones, my family, all those different things. Stepping into 2023 and learning more about love myself, all these different things.
Yes,
So,
sir. We
that's
loving
me.
hard in 2023 and beyond, man.
Trying.
Forget all the haters. We still gonna love y'all even more.
This
You know what I'm
episode gotta
saying?
be titled "Love."
Nah, for real. Nah, for real. For real though.
Shout out K Dub, man.
Hey.
Can I do want to take a quick spin back to what Willie Wells said, right? Just how
09.
like you.
Willie Willow 9.
Oh, sorry. I wouldn't want to mess up. You know what I'm saying?
Willie, you know
Wouldn't want to mess
IG
it up.
plug, right?
Sorry.
But if
Willie
you listen to
Will.
this, you want to follow my IG. That's
09.
Shit at the 09 to the end.
You know what it
You
do?
feel me? I thought you said a great point. I had an example based on what you said, but you mentioned something about how, you know, at the end of the day, you have all these celebrities and things of that nature, but, you know, they're people. They're just people just like us. They breathe the same air that we breathe. They eat food, maybe not the same food, but they eat food, right? You know what I'm saying?
Anthony Edwards be eating the same food we do.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
He's a goon.
And that's why he is that dude, bro. That's why he's that dude. But actually having a quick story on that, right? Because I really just try to treat those, you know, though, like, you know, a lot of people, you put them on pedestal, but I honestly just try to just treat them like people, how I treat anybody, you know what I'm saying? And I had I was just at the Brooklyn Nets game with my pops last week when they faced the Bucks. I think that was on Friday. And
We lost.
yeah, I definitely did. But
I got smacked.
no, y'all got
dog.
smacked. No, actually, y'all ain't just lose. I was like,
It was
I was actually
terrible.
just like hoping, I'm like, can I make this a good game? Like, I'm really just trying to see some, but it was just pretty sad.
They had Ben Simmons almost at a triple double.
Bro, Ben Simmons was scoring buckets. I said, what is this man doing?
With the little pump,
He doesn't shoot.
turnaround hook. I'm like, okay, Ben.
That was the game he decided to show out. All right, Ben.
He's feeling good. 14 to like 11 and 8 or something like that. That's the man that don't want to shoot.
Trash.
By the way, it was say.
Trash.
I'm just saying, dog.
Anywho, right? I'm sure Osei is pained enough.
Thank you, sir.
But I actually ran into Nick Wright at the game. If anyone who
yeah?
doesn't
Wow.
know,
Word.
actually, so this is my first time even telling y'all. So I saw Nick Wright at the game.
Yeah.
He probably sat like maybe 5 rows in front of me,
Word.
and it was crazy because one part of me, I was like, I don't even want to say nothing to him because it's like, I don't think he was there for work. I think he was just with, you know, I think he was with a couple of his boys. I want to say that was his son. I don't even know for real, but like, he was not working, you know what I'm saying? And he was just there just trying to watch the game for real. And I saw him pull up, and the reason I kind of saw him because the nose. Anyone know Nick Wright? Nick Wright got a big nose, right? So Nick Wright, what's first things first for anyone that's into sports and be watching like them sports, you know, talk shows and or debates. It's on Fox Sports 1, but I saw him and I was like, the whole time when I saw him pull up, I was like, you know, should I say something to him? Should I let him rock? You know what I'm saying? I damn sure was not going to try to get no picture because I was like, I'm not trying to invade him, like he's just a regular person. But I also got back to the point to where it was like, I actually really watch this guy's, like, I'm working at home. You want to look at me? Sometimes I'll be having that thing played. You know what I'm saying? I'll be having that thing play in the background.
noise,
Yeah, you know, a little background noise. You see what's going on in the world of the sports and whatever, right? And I also got to a point where I was like, I just want to be able to give this person his flowers. I don't know when I will have the opportunity to, you know, see this person again, right? And, you know, it was real quick. I kind of just went up to him and it was actually by accident. I tried to take some pictures at halftime, and so I went a little closer.
Tell him about some no
to the
pictures.
point, right?
Yeah, put the quotes
You
by
know what I'm
accident.
saying? And then, you know, I just, you know, I kind of like, yo, excuse me. I don't want to make your spot hot because I know you just, you know, I don't want to do that to you. I just wanted to say, like, I really enjoy your show, and I just want to make sure that I told you that while I see you here, and I hold on to that. And he was just like, yo, like, I really appreciate that. Like, and his face was like a serious, sincere kind of face. It was like, almost like surprised that, like,
You
I didn't
ask
try
no
to,
picture,
I didn't ask for a
yeah.
picture.
Or you ain't try to talk no, like, because you know.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
really
like,
get up on the
network.
network.
You know,
Yeah.
it was strictly, I was like, yo, I just wanted to give this, you know, this person their flowers. And I think, you know, the reason why I mentioned that story, right? And he was great. He was like, oh, yo, what's your name? I was like, Kadeem. We shook hands. He was like, you know, I really appreciate that. And like, for him, it was like, this person treated me like just a regular person. You know what I'm saying? Though I'm on TV, he gave me my flowers, and that's it.
say what's
I kept
up.
it like that. And I ain't taking no pictures with him, right? If he would have asked me, like, you want a picture? I'm like, yeah, I want a picture. Sure, I'll take this. Sure, Nick. My boy, I'm saying.
Okay.
Right?
Sure, Nick.
But I think where I was going with that story there, now, as I look personally to 2023, right, it's like, it's so easy to kind of pinpoint where someone has fallen short, or we're so quick to be like, "Damn, you messed up there," right? And I'm really like, I think my whole goal is really, I'm going to this new year, bro, is really like how can I like change my energy? How can I change my reactions? Right? It's not really like I do have other goals. Like I do want to move out my parents' crib. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a goal. But in terms of like what my core focus is, it's like how can I love on people better? That's one. But how can I continue to empower people and not just always focus on the negatives, which is so easy to focus on.
That's the things that stick out.
Exactly, and it ties into that you never know what someone is going through, right? So it's like you keep on, they probably in a low point, and every time they have messed up or fallen short, we probably gonna be like, damn, you did that wrong, and we don't even know their full story. You know their name, but you don't even know their story, right? So my thing is like, how can I put myself in a position where I can further understand people's story without always quickly trying to, pick out the negatives, right? Trying to share some positivity, right? Trying to do some more uplifting. So like, I think that was a great kind of story. I led right into like kind of my goal for 2023, really.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think
I'm sorry, Jess. I'm so sorry. Before you even go, you mentioned giving flowers. When you talked about being better this year, I wanted to give you flowers right there. I was like, let it flow. But nah.
Yes, sir.
Like this year, like the changes that you've made from changes of jobs, maturity wise, everything was like, not that you were more mature before. You're more mature than me most of the time. But it's just like, you were very mature, but like, hey. But no, it's just like seeing the maturity, the growth. You're working, like volunteering with the church, getting more involved there. Your growth in faith with God, your growth in faith in your relationships, stepping up, putting yourself out there again. All these different things that you're doing is just like, I told you before, it's just like a wonder. Even though I was in Grenada, like hearing about it, we have our weekly Bible study calls, and just hearing about it on there and seeing you, the growth, the glow, as some would say, just seeing that like from within and seeing that as a friend, from the outside looking in has been really dope. And I appreciate you, and I'm glad that God is moving and He's doing good things within you, bro.
Salute, bro.
Yo, I gotta give you a sound dap. You feel me? The people gonna need to. I really appreciate that, bro.
It's giving growth.
I was. Yo, Willie, funny.
That's giving growth.
Don't do that. Yo, we gotta clip a lot of things. Social media watch 2023, bro. The It's Giving is one of them. But now I did before you said that. I really do appreciate that, Ose. I want to piggyback off of your point, Kadeem, which is basically. That I guess I feel like it goes back to grace, like the grace aspect of, looking at someone's situation and seeing like maybe what they did on the surface, but not necessarily knowing the true story or like what their, what was behind that. The root. Exactly. And so I think, as I thought about that, I thought about one of the plans that we had actually done in our Bible study, which talked about the gift of grace and how ultimately, like, I know from my self perspective and I know from y'all's as well, I done messed up so many times. So many times. Like, I'm such a flawed human being. But, in just serving and loving God, like, God loves us so much that He is okay. Like, He's okay beforehand. Before He even put us on this earth, He was like, anything that you do, it don't even matter. Like, it's okay as long as you come back to me and, show, not only say, but show that you love me. So I feel like that goes back to what you were saying about just showing love and showing grace, is that you have to think of first from your perspective, like, yo, I need as much grace, as much forgiveness, as much everything that you can give me, because if you held everything against me, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be worse than dead right now. Like
the naughty list.
I'd be on a naughty list till, man, to 3,000 something.
Honestly, just pack it up.
Every Christmas, I ain't getting
just pack it up.
You feel me? I'm not getting no gifts.
It's over.
But yeah, I think that's kind of how you have to look at it. Is like, if everything that you've done is already okay with God because He's pardoning it. So whatever somebody else has done or is doing or whatever it is that you feel like deserves some tough love or you feel like deserves,
righteous anger.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're justified and spazzing on this person or getting mad at them or telling them they ain't whatever. Like you have to really look at it like, well, what if God was doing that to me and all my mess ups? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's also a great mindset to take into that 2023 is like, man, I wouldn't even be in 2023 if not for the grace of God. So really like expressing that great. And I'm glad to hear that story about Nick Wright, because I know me, you and Ose have been in the crib watching a ton of Nick Wright. They're talking about everybody. That man being like, man, if only the Sixers would have not put in.
So and so.
It's like,
funny, bro.
Man, he's funny. So that's
So
a great
funny.
story to hear, because it is like, you know, him just really appreciating that human side of you, even just saying like, yo, I appreciate, because it's hard for him doing that. Like, just because he's in front of everybody does not mean that job is not difficult. He doesn't go through his own problems each and every day with that. So I think he was genuine, you know, human to human moment, not Nick Wright on his pedestal looking at some, you know, peasant fan like, you know, it was like, dang, you know, I really appreciate that, my brother, because we all brothers and sisters on an even level. Just like you said earlier, Will, ain't nobody better than you, ain't nobody worse than you, and that's the balance you got to keep.
Indeed.
And also another thing, right before we wrap up a little bit, self-appreciation in 2023. That's one of the biggest things that like I'm trying to take into 2023. Whereas, as you mentioned, grace, but again, not just giving grace to other people, but giving grace to yourself.
Sure.
And then self-appreciation wise, where it's just like, yeah, this person may have so and so, but trying to recognize our gifts and our talents that we've been blessed with, even as menial or underappreciated as they may be by the people.
For sure.
I'm talking to myself with this one, but
Talking to
just
everybody.
everybody in
everybody.
general. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how y'all, but no, it's just like
Everybody.
self-appreciation of the gifts that God has blessed you with and how to best use them to serve God and serve the world. And that's something that I need to take into 2023 with me.
See, with me on that though, like I feel like I'm my own like worst critic, and like I agree with you on that, where it's like yeah, like we have these gifts, but for me, I'm gonna be hard on myself because I want to use these gifts like properly in the vision of God. Like, and at the end of the day, like we don't know what God has for us, we don't know what He wants us to do, but like I think for me, like my mindset when I live through life is like, okay, I know I'm putting my whole faith in God. Like I know the decisions that He has for me, like it's through Him. Like whether I think it's a good decision or not, whether if it's a decision I feel comfortable with, even if it's something that's uncomfortable, I know that was because God put it into my mind where it was like, okay, like you need to do this. Like for example, for me, like ESPN, like I had basically a job offer for ESPN Radio, like in yeah, I don't know if I ever said it on like out loud, but
Spicy.
but yeah, like I had a job offer for ESPN Radio, I think like early on this year, and like I turned that down just because like I didn't think that it was the right time for me to like work with them, or not even work with them, but like it was the right time for me in my life to be able to do that and to give 100%, you know, what my capacity into that, and I didn't want to make myself look like a bad person if I took that job offer, but I couldn't give 110%. And like, of course, that's a difficult decision because, dang it, it's ESPN. Like, you're gonna get in there, you're gonna make connections. Like that's like to everybody else, it's like, all right, like you just turned down the job to ESPN, but I'm like, I like it just didn't feel comfortable for me, and like I think that feeling of like it didn't feel comfortable for me, like I don't think I should really do that. Like I think that was God, you know, telling me like, all right, brother Will, like your time's gonna come, like you feel me, like take
now. Yep.
You feel me? It's not the time now for you to do it. Now, granted, the masses, like you poll probably 100 people, like 75% of people are gonna be like, "Yo, what that means?"
More than 75.
You turned
80%.
You turned down
ESPN. I'm saying,
like the worldwide leader though. Like,
granted, you know, I turned down Google, and when I told that people that story, it was like, huh?
What's wrong with you?
I was like,
what? But it's not the time for me right now. Like that's what I just felt like it was. So you know, I going into 2023, it's just like I'm still gonna have that decision where it's like, all right, I know I'm comfortable in the decisions that I make, and I'm comfortable with who I am because I know God is going to lead me to the right spot. Like He led me to where I am right now, and like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I didn't think I was going to be the person I am right now. So I'm only, like I said, that's why I'm excited to see what 2023 takes me, because like I know that there's only going to be a lot more blessings, a lot more things going on the route for me, you know, especially when I'm hopefully finally able to graduate and finally be able to kind of put myself 100% out there in the real world.
yeah.
Yo, so I want to hear, before we wrap, unless y'all want to drop anything else real quick.
Actually, I'll say this one last thing, right? Obviously, it's clear that, you know, we never gonna run from me because the reason why we're here, the reason why this podcast exists is all because of God, right? And he's at the center of our lives. He's the center. He's the reason to why we made it through 22, and prayfully we'll make it to 2023. As Osei mentioned, we still at the tail end of 2022. We almost there. You know what I'm saying? But on top of that, I think it's great. What helped us is just seeing and hearing it from us is like just having a strong support system.
Community.
In addition to your relationship with God for us, you know what I'm saying? Having that community to people that's going to hold you accountable, push you to be your best self, but also kind of that little competitive nature. Like, if I see my brother level up, I'm like, yo, that was dope. I'm about to level up too now. You know what I'm saying? And that's all good and dandy. You know what I'm saying? I think that's healthy competition to where you really just trying to, kind of motivate each other, kind of take that step above each other in a way. You know what I'm saying? And in doing so, you're both or your group, you're going to get to that point. You're going to continue to elevate. You're going to continue to impact people, right? So I think with, what I'm hearing from us is that, not only is God the center of our reasons why we're here and why we made it through 2022 and had a great year nonetheless, no matter what we say we didn't accomplish or not. I think that also just having this strong support system, and it's not just us four. We have a bunch family, of brothers, outside of the people here on this pod, right? That serves to be great support system. So that's like really, if I'm really like throwing out anything, like if you look to 2023, like really evaluate your corner, evaluate who's around you, right? Because those people that you're surrounded with, right, will either lead you to success or lead you to failure. You know what I'm saying? Right. So really be conscious of who you surround. I'm just very much, glad that I have a great support system, both family and friends.
Amen. And I'm sorry, just real quick, comment on Will's point. Well, that was dope. As in, like, when you mentioned like you turned down ESPN, whereas because you knew it wasn't the right time and you were in the right place. I think a lot of times, like, we try to rush things and it's like, I want this now. Like, even when I remember, like, graduating college, med school, I'm like, maybe I should go to med school right after college. I'm going to apply, do all this stuff. Didn't work out. God said no. And I said, oh. But, like, in the meantime, he let me, like, I feel like he let me exactly where I needed to be.
Yeah.
Being in Grenada, St. George is far away from home, but nonetheless, I love it. The weather, everything is just like,
I throw the weather in there, huh?
I don't like this cold. But no, it's just like all these different things. It was a perfect timing. It's God's timing. Yes, and knowing or having the maturity, I want to say that was very mature of you to do that. Having the maturity to be like, I know I can probably finesse or, but still having the maturity to be like, you know what, it's not the right time for this. Yep. So,
yeah. Word up.
Appreciate it.
Back to you, Just.
Back to Just in the studio.
I just wanted to hear one word that y'all want to be or to express or to show in 2023. So I started off. For me, I'll say peace. I feel like,
good one.
Man, it's just a lot of things that don't bring you peace. You know what I'm saying? So Kevin Durant actually said this one time when he was talking to Draymond Green. Like, a lot of people base their things on happiness and joy and just trying to be happy all the time. And Doug, happiness is fleeting. Like, you'll be happy for a couple minutes, maybe a couple hours, and then boom, like you just dip back down to normal or chilling, or maybe sad or maybe angry, anxious, whatever, right? So peace is not an emotion, right? Peace is a state of being, and I feel like I'm gonna always have different emotions that come and go, but for me, just having peace and really like pouring it, like you said, that self-love, pouring it into myself, but also surrounding myself, like you said, with people that are going to bring me that peace as well. I feel like that's just the best state to be in for me. So I would say peace for my 2023.
For me, I have to say a loving place or being in a state of love, because I realized, I think we talked about this in our last Bible study call, I'll fill you in, Will, and everybody else. It was just like sometimes I feel a bit awkward being myself because I want to show so much love or so much emotion to people around me, but I'm just like, they'll be like, nah, you just weird. Out here sending random texts to your friends like, I love you, bro. And it's just like, I want to do certain things like that, but to me, in my head, or the doubts or the thoughts in my head will be like, nah, that's weird. Why would you do that? That's just random. But for me, it'll be like more loving, because I know that when I don't send those text messages, I feel guilt or I feel a pang in my heart throughout the whole entire day for not doing that. Or if I don't show love to somebody, be a random stranger, whatever it may be. So definitely being more loving, because for me, I believe personally, me being more loving will lead me to find peace with myself and with God.
I'll say I gotta ask, has anybody ever said, dang, that was weird when you sent one of those texts?
No. I don't know if they said in their head. I don't know if they said in their head. I don't know.
So that's you.
Now you overthinking it. I don't know if they say it in their head. Hey,
That's
get
a
out
whole
their head,
you
man.
thing, right?
Get out their head and your head.
I appreciate it.
I feel like for me, I'm gonna say careless, but I'm gonna say it with a positive twist to it because I feel like there's a lot of things that I do or don't do just because like I'm over. As you just said, Osei, like I'm overthinking like what the reaction might be, or like I'm overthinking what other people might think, or something like that, or like I get into my own head where it's like, oh, like do I want to say this to this person, or like do I not? Like honestly, like the situation that you were in, Kadeen, like I probably would have been like, you know what, I don't really think I'm gonna say anything right because I like there would be moments where I'm like I don't want to interrupt that person's speech, like what they look at me like, you know what I mean, like I'm like, who am I type of thing.
Right.
And I feel like for me, like I need to be a little bit more, I need to be less caring, more careless. I don't know which would be the proper English for that one, but like in terms of just like, all right, if you got something on your heart, you got something on your mind, or like what you gotta do, what you gotta say, like say your truth, you feel me? Like and like I said, I don't think I'm a negative person, especially when it comes to like speaking what I think, or like even my thoughts in and of itself. Like I would just literally like not say anything, like not even say like a compliment or like something positive, just because I'm like, but like what if this person's trying to take it the wrong way? So like I just want to be a little bit more like
Daring,
easy
courageous.
on myself, and just being like, all right, like let me just say like whatever to this person, and then like if they take it the wrong way, that's them taking it the wrong way. But like I knew in my heart that I had like nothing but like a pure conscience, or like nothing but like good intentions on what I said. So I guess that would have to be my word.
Last but not least, so I actually was gonna say love. I felt like I said love a lot throughout this pod, but another one that came to me was self, right? As in myself, and it kind of ties into love too, because it's multifaceted, really. At times, I may not take care of myself too well, you know, whether it be physically or mentally or spiritually, right? So for me, right, I want to, you know, as I look to 2023, really, it's like, how can I change some of my reactions to certain situations, both positive and negative, right? And that includes love. Like, how can I love on people, right? How can I recognize when people truly need love, right? How can I recognize those situations when I can just pour that into people, right? How can I recognize when I myself need love, right? And how can I, you know, be there for myself, take care of my own mental state or my physical state, right? Because ultimately, if you really can't be the best version to anyone if you can't be the best version for your own self. So I think for me, my word to 2023 is self. Because if I can change some of the things that I look forward to changing, in terms of my reactions to how I treat my own self, then you know what I bring out into the world is going to be that much more impactful.
Amen, man. Amen. By God's grace, and I want to leave y'all with a small sentence. Whenever you're going through something, whenever you're reacting to a certain situation, whatever it may be, always ask yourself, are you moving out of fear or are you moving out of love? And once you answer that question for yourself, you'll see where it's going. So once again, wrapping up, folks, I'd like to thank you all for joining us, for coming with us on this journey of our inaugural episode. Let me hit that applause.
You said that with some inaugural.
Hit it with that applause, man.
I like that,
I'm
bro.
glad. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad that you all stuck around for this long, watched the episode, and joined us on this journey, man. I appreciate it. All right, and pass it down.
Hey man, with that all being said, you know, this is like Osei said, our inaugural episode. Make sure you keep it locked, keep it tuned in on our social media accounts, on our podcasts and platforms, because this is the Spark Plug.
And fellas, y'all know what we say. When you need a spark, we the
Plug. Hey.
Yeah.